Today is April 1st. Welcome on in to Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com, brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri and Munganess St. Louis Acura. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey and Rammer. The Cardinals, they dropped 3 out of 4 to the Dodgers this past weekend, but as Claibs and I were talking about earlier today, a lot of teams are going to drop 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 to the Dodgers this season.
Well, that's a true statement. It doesn't really offer the analysis of how and why. The Cardinals should have been swept, and the offense was so bad that had not been the gifts, and I mean they were gift wrapped with big red ribbons and bows that the Dodgers gave the Cardinals, it could have been 4 straight shutouts. Well, okay, you did get a home run.
Yeah.
But other than that, okay, I'll give you 1 run in 4 games. Now, hey, but that's part of the game. Somebody gives you something, you take it and you run with it. In many cases, literally and figuratively. But so that's good. What I'm saying is the offense is a real concern right now. The bullpen, who it was supposed to be fixed, the facelift, it's all good. And it looked like the exact same bullpen to me. And it already looks like Ollie's forced into an A-B bullpen, an every other night bullpen already. That I don't believe is sustainable. Now, maybe it's the new era of baseball, and I've got to get used to it, but I think it's a dangerous way to live.
It is, and as Claibs clarified earlier today on the show too, I think if you watched the game last night, if you were just watching the ESPN broadcast and listening to those guys last evening, they made it seem like Ryan Helsley was not available for anything last night after throwing 27 pitches on Saturday. And when I hear that, when I heard David Cohn, Eduardo Perez, Carl Ravitch talking about that, I'm sitting there watching the game thinking, you've got to be kidding me. We're going through this again after being told that, it was something that was going to be fixed. Ollie Marmol did say after the game last night, Ryan Helsley would have been in there in the 9th inning had the Cardinals had the lead. So
yeah, and I don't know if I heard it from Mike or on the show on your guys' show, or somebody said, I saw it somewhere that Helsley said he did want the ball on Sunday.
Yeah, so that would have been the game plan.
Yeah.
So if you were just watching it on ESPN, you might have thought otherwise and gotten frustrated like I was, but that was not the case. Should be a full bullpen tonight. Helsley, Gallegos, everybody should be ready to go. Imagine maybe no Palante tonight in the game, who's looked good through early on this season.
He looks okay.
Yeah, Cardinals. Another thing that too, I mentioned the Claibs that was unfair yesterday. It seemed like the Dodgers somehow had Mookie Betts up every 4 or 5 hitters.
That's the new Mookie Betts rule, where you're not
okay.
You not see the rule.
I did. So I knew the Shohei rule, which allowed him to pitch and hit. I was unaware of the new Mookie rule.
Yeah.
So good to know.
Inning.
Oh, okay. That's basically what he did. Yeah. The lineup that we saw the Dodgers put out. You and I talked about it. We did the show Thursday and Friday, and we talked about the lineup. But then when you actually see it and watch it go through, and then you just realize, holy crap, this lineup is so deep. Watching it in those games, I would hate to be a team out in the NL West having to face them a handful of times this year.
Well, and I think the key to it all, obviously your top 3 guys. But the key to making it the deepest lineup in baseball is Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
This guy hitting 5th or 6th or 7th. Holy cow. And usually to be 5th or 6th. But people don't even, because nobody paid attention to the White Sox, he had 94 RBIs last year.
Yeah.
And then you've got somebody like Hayward who will hit 8th or 9th. That's, my gosh. That's just a hell of a lineup.
It is. And I mean, you look at, you throw in the utility guys. Kike Hernandez is going to play wherever you need him to each and every night. They were talking last night how it kind of, you sign a guy like Will Smith to a 10-year deal, but you have Shohei already on the team. So it's like, I mean, you can't really DH, you're going to have to catch every game. What are we going to do with you when you can't if we need to
Take
give
a
our
night
Austin
off.
Barnes you have to figure it out. I mean, you're going to have guys on that team like Mookie Betts kind of learning, and Kike Hernandez learning how to play 3 or 4 different positions so they can play every day, because you have a 2-time MVP DHing for you 160 games a year.
Yeah, but many teams, and I think I would probably do it this way, look at a DH as a rotational spot to keep guys fresh and their bats in the lineup. But there are examples throughout DH history of guys that are full-time DHs, and those teams did okay.
Yeah, they did. And we'll see later on in the year when Shohei is allowed to start throwing where they fit him in out in the outfield at later on this season. Your comments, welcome aboard as you look here, and welcome to chime in. I disagree with walking Mookie every time, because you got 2 MVPs right after him, and and Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani. You can't do it.
And then your cleanup hitter.
Right. And then Max Muncy after that. It did not stop.
No.
And for as much as I look forward to watching that team come through St. Louis later on this summer, I am very, very happy that it is not coming through until much later on this summer. Cardinals are down in San Diego. They got on a bus and bus down from LA to San Diego last night. Got in, Clabe said, at a decent time, had a little Shake Shack on the bus, and checked into the hotel. I think he said around 11 o'clock. So full night of rest into today, into the game. So pretty good for a Sunday night game. And then being on the road right after that, not a whole lot of times are you going to get that luxury when you're playing that night game and then having to travel. The Cardinals will look like this tonight when they line up against the Padres. Brendan Donovan, he leads off again, playing left field. Paul Goldschmidt at first. Nolan Gorman at second. Nolan Arenado at third. Wilson Contreras is behind the plate. Matt Carpenter DHs tonight. Jordan Walker in right. Victor Scott the second in center. Mason Wynn is at shortstop with Kyle Gibson on the mound, making his Cardinal debut. The Padres, who have scored 15 runs and 13 runs in 2 of their wins already this year, will lead off with Xander Bogaerts playing second base, Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field, Jake Cronenworth at first, Manny Machado DHing, and he's going to do a lot of that early on this season as he recovers from an injury. Ha-Sung Kim is at short. Jurickson Profar is in left. Campusano behind the plate. Paulie at third, and Merrill, the young rookie. What is he, 20 years old? 21, 20 years old. Jackson Merrill is batting ninth and playing center field for the Padres tonight. He's a guy to definitely keep an eye on for tonight's game when you were talking about the hot young stars of the future, and the Cardinals have 4 of them in their lineup, but Jackson Merrill only being 20 years old here on opening day for the Padres.
Something to keep an eye on for lineup nerds out there, and it's too early to overreact to playing against the Dodgers, because that's a special animal, but I'm really trying to think about, and I think the Cardinals should think about what it would look like without so-called danger in the 2-hole, like Tony La Russa liked, but going back to the way Whitey Herzog liked to do things, and putting Scott up top, Donovan 2, Goldie 3, Gorman 4, Arenado 5, a lefty 6, Contreras 7, Walker 8, Wynn 9. I'm not saying you go to that now, but I think, you look at trends. And by the way, I'm not suggesting you lock in any given lineup, because you got matchups, because you've got guys that are hot, guys that are cold. I'd like to think you have enough positive elements that you can mix and match and say, this lineup gives me the best chance tonight.
When you get guys like Tommy Edman and Lars Nootbaar and even Dylan Carlson back, I'm fine with that. Right now, the bench that they have, I don't think you could do a whole lot of mixing and matching unless you see a really good matchup for Matt Carpenter, because at this point, Brandon Crawford's there to be a backup for Mason Wynn. He's not there to get X amount of at-bats every week.
And I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah, Michael Ciani is purely there to to be a defensive replacement, depending on who you have in the outfield.
He's holding Nootbaar's spot.
Yeah, and then you have Ivan Herrera, who will catch, I guess, once a week, maybe twice a week for Wilson Contreras, depending on the game load that they have. And I imagine Wilson Contreras will DH at some point on those days like that.
And to be clear, I wasn't talking about what guys to put into the lineup.
Yeah.
I was talking about the lineup construction top to bottom.
And it's, you mentioned that too. Claibs and I talked about it on the lunch show earlier today as well with Victor Scott, with the at-bats we saw him take and the ruckus that he caused on the bases in the few games that he got on this past weekend. At some point, Victor Scott is a leadoff hitter. And when that happens, when that move is made, how do you go about the rest of that lineup? And I agree with you. You put Donovan number 2, Goldschmidt 3. I said Arenado 4, and because right now, Nolan Gorman needs to strike out a whole lot less to be in the top half of a lineup that I'm putting together. 9 strikeouts in the first 4 games of the season is a lot.
Who looked like a cleanup hitter?
Nolan Arenado's struggling a lot at the plate right now. 1 for 16 to start the year. But I'll give I'll take a look at his resume and I'll put him there before before the 23-year-old. Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying they should have done this tonight, but I think it's going to be sooner than later that Victor goes to the leadoff spot.
How many weeks of major league pitching does Victor Scott need to see before you're comfortable moving him up higher in that lineup?
Me? You're asking me what I would do.
Yeah.
He'd already be leading off.
Okay. You just throw him into the fire with that.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
In the big leagues.
I think making
he and Goldie were the best guys you had already, and it wasn't like you were playing the White Sox. You were playing the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And Victor Scott not only did it not seem overwhelmed, he looked engaged and ready to compete to me.
Making the jump from Double-A to the major leagues and just having that spring training to kind of look at what's out there, I'd get him through the first 2 weeks of the season. I'd get him through this first 2 weeks of the major league grind. And before you add another dimension onto his development, when you look at everything,
I think that's what the Cardinals are thinking.
Because on top of just having to face the best of the best in pitching, you're talking about the fact that you went from Florida to Arizona to LA, bust down to San Diego. Later this week, when they finish that game on Wednesday, they're going to fly to St. Again, this is a 21-year-old. No.
Come on.
I'm not. No,
he's in the big leagues. You're costing by batting him 8th. You're costing him an at bat a game. And if he's only an 8th place hitter, he probably might as well go back down to the AAA.
I let him play in the big parks for a couple weeks. Let him face the big league pitching. See what the difference is with these guys, major league pitchers throwing their off-speed pitches instead of what you saw down and feasted on in Double-A. And then you move him up. Wait till that 3rd week of the season. Wait till that second road trip of the season. Then say, okay, you know what? Now we'll take the training wheels off of you.
If you had other guys performing, I would consider that. And it's clear that that's what Ollie and the Cardinals are thinking. You are in lockstep with them. I would be a little more aggressive. No, I would be as aggressive as Victor Scott is.
The Padres looking at their the rest of their lineup right now, a lot of guys hitting really well to start the season. OPS is in the 900s, and you talk about deep lineups. Bogarts, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, Kim, right there in your top 5. That is a really dangerous lineup that they're putting out there.
Campusano's got power. He's good. It's very solid. They've got work to do. They could be pretty darn good and finish 4th.
You're saying
Dodgers, Diamondbacks,
Giant. Okay, I was a Giant. I was thinking who that 3rd place team would be. You're going Giants.
I'm not predicting they'll be 4th. I'm just saying you could win 84, 85 games, which wouldn't we say is pretty good? 85 games and be in 4th place in that division.
I mean, not only that though. you could also get all four. I'm trying to think with the new construction of the postseason. Is it two wild cards or three wild cards? It's three wild. So honestly, all three of those teams could get in the wild card because the NL Central is not sending two.
No, and I said that when we had our first show and prediction. I think it'll be the Braves, the Phillies, the Dodgers, and two other Western Division teams.
Yeah, and it very well, depending on what the Phillies, I think the Braves are going to be really, really good once again. I think, Phillies and whoever that fourth place team out of the NL West will be fighting for that last, coming down to that last weekend. Unless
the fourth place team in the West, here will be our bet. Let's make a bet. The fourth place team in the West will have a better record than the Central Division winner. For a milkshake.
I disagree with that.
Good. That's a bet.
Okay, I disagree with that because they are going to those teams in the NL West have to face each other all year, so they're going to be trading back wins and losses. Where the teams in the NL Central, let's say the Cardinals win the NL Central, they should get a lot of wins off of. They
won't because they're not any better than anybody else.
Should be.
There's our bet.
It is a good bet. It is a good bet. Cardinals, we'll see. Will also be facing off against Mike Shildt, who their former manager, now the new manager of the San Diego Padres. Looking forward to seeing him. He's been in the dugout for the Padres. He's been in that Padres system since he left the Cardinals, but very much looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, I like Mike. I only met him a couple times. A lot of rumors and innuendo about what went wrong with the Cardinals and that sort of thing. Some stuff seems unfair. I won't go into it because it does seem unfair. Just the human curiosity. Someday I'd like to have a step-by-step what happened, who said what when, and how it went down with the Cardinals moving on from Mike Shildt. But both sides are probably too classy to ever let that happen that way. I'm just happy for Mike, and I hope the Padres do well. First of all, they're fun to watch, and I hope he does well. I think his record shows that he earned that.
One more note before we get going today. Just want to give a shout out. Milwaukee Brewers relief pitcher and 2015 Alton High School grad Brian Hudson made his debut with the Brewers last year, drafted by the Cubs, pitched a few times for the Dodgers last year. He came in relief yesterday in the Brewers-Mets game for Milwaukee, went 3 innings, no runs, 4 strikeouts, allowing 2 hits.
But they released him?
No, he's...
What'd you say they did with him?
Who?
Oh, you're just saying I thought you were saying that was a player.
Oh no, I'm just giving another Alton High Redbird a shout out.
Yeah, now. I watched and he was very good.
Yeah. Big lefty, 6'8", I think, somewhere around there. Just very good. About halfway home by the time he's releasing the ball. But a solid debut for Milwaukee yesterday afternoon. Rammer, the game tonight starts at 8:10 local time. And if you are trying to figure out what channel the Cardinals will be on this week, I believe all 3 of these games are on Bally Sports Midwest. So I don't think you have to have any other subscriptions to anything else to watch the Cardinals during this series against San Diego.
And if you're one of the cool kids who gave up cable, how do you watch?
Go to Reddit and search for it and figure out an illegal stream.
Great advice.
Rammer, we are brought to you each and every day by Munganast St. Louis Acura and your friends over at Royal Banks.
Yeah, Royal Banks, your local community bank, and in St. Louis and in the central part of the Metroplex, that's where they've been for over 60 years. But in the recent years, they've expanded, and that same service has expanded with them, whether it's on the east side, St. Charles, or Northeast Missouri. Each and every branch feels like your hometown bank. Royal Banks, 314-212-1500. Royal Banks, where better service means better banking.
Be back with you tomorrow for another edition of Daily Cards Live, always brought to you by Royal Banks, Missouri, and Munganast St. Louis Acura. He's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Munganast St. Louis Acura would like to upgrade your current BEV experience. The new ZDX offers the performance that you expect from Acura, but upgrades your ownership experience with our award-winning team. Whether you're looking for a more convenient charging solution or an upgrade to a new vehicle, come in today and make a reservation for the all-electric ZDX coming soon. Munganast St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.